right back at it, because what else are we going to do, right? Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is DSP News 2nd Edition, and I'm your host, and welcome to the Gout Report. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to take you back to, I'd like to take you back to July 15th of 2014. Oh my God, 2014, ladies and gentlemen. I want you guys to hear some of the excessive bitching and complaining that Darksydephil was doing back in what was still considered, to some degree, his golden years, as related to the gouty years that we end up having later. This video is brought to us by LD. DSP Tries It, excessive whining, pouring sobs and failure onto his viewers, and a train wreck. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure exactly what's in this, but I'm sure it's a lot of bitching and complaining, a lot of trying to appeal to people to help him with his success. He was streaming at this particular time, so maybe he wants more support on the streams, i.e. more people to show up to his streams, I should say. I'm not sure if I think he said, I don't know. He's had like a back and forth a little bit when it comes to subs back then. Because remember, tipping kind of existed, but not like in the way we know it. You would just give money straight to his PayPal, which he's been doing from the beginning anyway. But there was no like tipping on stream, and the cheers system wasn't really a thing yet. So the only way you could contribute to a streamer back at that time was basically through subs, especially if we're talking about on Twitch. With that being said, I would assume really what he wanted was people to just show up to the streams. And at one time, ladies and gentlemen, or at least back early on, he was able to pull 400 people no sweat. I can actually kind of back that up in the fact that he wouldn't actually officially start his stream until he had about 400 people up there, and then he would actually start the stream. You know what I mean? I don't know why he chose that as his magic number, but whatever. Maybe he assumed that 400 people would be $400. I don't know, but it is what it is. Like I said, let's hear some of the bitching and complaining from 2014, because that's always a treat. Hopefully you guys are doing well, and so on and so forth. And yeah, let's just go ahead and kind of keep this moving until I'm actually back, back, if you will. Oh, snap. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Gout Report. This is DSP News 2nd Edition. I'll see you guys in a second. Oh, boy.
Okay, hello everybody. Hello and welcome to the stream. Today is a combination.
Nice burp. And sorry about that buggy screen mechanics there. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're here with LD. Let's see, DSP Tries It, excessive whining, pouring sobs and failures onto viewers, and a train wreck. This was from July 15th of 2014. Oh boy. Those glory years that Phil talks about, right? Right. Let's get it.
Of the conclusion of Shovel Knight, as well as another test of my new streaming / capturing setup. Okay. So welcome to the stream, and I apologize. We will be, obviously, it's going to have a little bit of setup here. It's going to start a little bit later, but that's okay, because I think
too that he does quite frequently that I find a bit egregious at times is how Phil is never been good with change at all. He really hasn't, and his career, in air quotes, kind of reflects that. And since he's behind the ball on everything, because he's afraid to learn anything, right? When he finally does do something, he continues to keep hyping it up, and he continues to keep advertising it as, look at how much I've grown. Here's the change I've made. Look at how, good everything is. Look at this new setup for, whatever the case may be. Look at my new layout. Look at this, look at that. And don't get me wrong, it's the nostalgia and whatnot and the excitement that comes from anything that's new is a thing. Sure, obviously. But he acts very much like a child when it comes to that. And he's very childlike with it, because after the public enthusiasm is gone, he kind of doesn't care either. And then he just keeps doing it because now it's just part of his routine. And he doesn't know how to reinforce to people, this is the change that I've made. These are the changes that I hope to make. And so I hope that you guys would keep contributing or keep showing up for bigger and better things. Because in actuality, none of that's going to ever happen. It's never going to show up. He only does those things when he's trying to sell it to you, but not when it's time to actually implement it. You know what I mean? Which just shows how I was going to say ingenuine he is, but that's obvious. It shows you how lazy he is and what kind of con artist that he really, materializes to be, if you will. You know what I mean? He can't hold to his word on anything at all. Not until his baby backs are on the grill, and then he has no choice. But by then, it's already too late. You're talking about, ladies and gentlemen, this is something that I've spoken about before, that you're talking about an individual who, at one time, had the chance to be a forerunner in a lot of this stuff. He could have been, he had the money, he had the time, and he had the resources to be something more than what he is. Not just on YouTube, but on Twitch, respectfully, if he didn't leave the first time like a little bitch over a bit rate for content that was already garbage on YouTube. But anyway, he had an opportunity. He had a lot of opportunities to be one of those guys. You know what I mean? Like, let's call a spade a spade. A lot of the people who are big on Twitch now are not only because they're great content creators and they're actually interesting people, but also because they've been around for a long time. Phil's been around as long as most of those guys, at least to some extent, and pissed it all away because he felt like, oh, these people had advantages that he didn't. When in actuality, these people were committed to streaming. You were trying to do both. And so one has to kind of suffer a little bit, or one is going to have a drop in quality, or so on and so forth, to expand your name, or to expand the brand, or to, diversify. He doesn't understand that, which is crazy that someone who has a business major wouldn't understand that at all. It's really weird, right? It's really, really weird. Like, real time and real world experience teaches you that. But he's been such a sheltered bitch that he just doesn't understand. And that's the reason why he's never left this, to be honest. He says that, oh, no one can push me out. And, I keep doing this because people support me and so on and so forth. And that's why I kept doing it and I'm passionate about it and I love it. But in actuality, he can't do anything else. And his history, ladies and gentlemen, will prove that. Let's go.
I only got about, 2 more bosses in Shovel Knight, and then we may be near the end of it anyway, so I may end up beating this game quickly on stream today. We'll have to see. Okay? So, welcome to the stream. And, so here's the deal. For those of you who have not been
like
following...
known for beating anything on stream quickly. Well, except for his meat, but... everybody laughed at him for that one. Everybody laughed at him for that one.
Along this past weekend, which is very understandable with the World Cup, with Evo, with everything that was going on. A lot of people were busy elsewhere. You don't know what's happening with me and my stuff.
Speaking of which, that's actually a pretty good point. Actually, I'll bring it back a little bit because he says something that I want to emphasize real fast. But this is back when he used to actually talk about Evo when it happened. Doesn't do that anymore, but he used to. I think he kind of really stopped speaking about Evo, to be honest, right around the time Taquito took, I think when Taquito won Street Fighter V. That was 2000. That was Evo 2018, I think. I think that was Evo 2018 when Taquito took it. And there's actually a video out that talks about the parallels between Darksydephil and Taquito. Probably going to end up going over that. Speaking of which, don't know when yet, but it'll either be a week or a month, I should say. I was going to say or, but no. It'll be either a week or a month where I will dedicate the content to this channel strictly to Darksydephil's FGC career. So I'll probably do a post, or I'll do like a small video talking about that. And if there's anything that you guys want to see in particular, you guys can shoot me links, and then, you know, we can make all that happen. So on top of the stuff that I've already gathered. So that's something to think about too. I think that'll be a nice little bit of lore. Let's just see. In actuality, ladies and gentlemen, it's really about seeing if he's as good as he said he was, which he wasn't. But let's go ahead and actually put in the work, right, and actually prove it. And there's some grudge. He's had some really good grudge matches against some very notable players back in the day. Most of them, if not almost all of them, stomped him in one way, shape, or form. So we'll pull that out. It should be interesting. It should be interesting. So keep that in mind. Like I said, I'll have a video. I'll actually, when I come back from hiatus and whatnot, I'll end up doing a video, and we can talk about that further, if I remember. Oh boy. Anyway, let's continue. But here, let me actually go back real fast. And like I said, there's something I want you to hear the statement in full first. Doop. Because I am professional. I'm not a professional. I just like to think so. Alright, here we go.
Along this past weekend, which is very understandable with the World Cup, with Evo, with everything that was going on. A lot of people were busy elsewhere. You don't know what's happening with me and my stuff. So here's the deal. Here's what's going on. I received my brand new gaming
that's the reason why I backed up. I wanted you guys to hear him say, "Oh, World Cup's going on, Evo's going on, all this stuff is going on, and you guys haven't been keeping up with me and what I've been doing," which shows you this childlike jealousy. It's extremely petty, by the way, but this childlike jealousy that he has, and is the reason why, in my opinion, that he saturated the market with as much bullshit as he did. It's the reason why he plays as many games as he does. It's the reason why he tried to do so many different things, half-assed, of course, that he tried to do. He wanted Darksydephil, DSP, Phil Burnell, Dark Geppetto, Dave, whatever you want to call him, tried to be your one-stop shop for everything. Kind of like what Microsoft tried to do for the Xbox One in a lot of ways, where they wanted it to be the premier entertainment console, or your premier entertainment device, where they wanted you to come there for everything. Darksydephil tried to do that on YouTube. He tried to be the premier source of content. He didn't want you to watch anybody else. He wanted you to only be dedicated to him. Hence the reason why the Pig Roach cult is a thing, or his cult-like mentality is, to be honest, is a thing. You know what I mean? He has cultivated all of that on purpose. And that's why he targeted a younger fan base. He can lie about it now and says that's not the case, but in actuality, that's what he was always going for. That's why he spends all that time explaining himself and talking down to these people, because he looks at them as children, or he looks at himself as intellectually superior to them, right? That they need him to explain how the world works. They need him to explain how the gaming industry works. They need him to explain how business is done, despite the fact that this idiot doesn't understand any of those things himself. In truth, it's the blind leading the blind, as most cults are.
See, on Friday, and I decided I was going to basically spend a lot of time on Saturday hooking it up and getting it working, And then yesterday, I basically started using a new streaming and capture program called OBS because it is compatible with my new capture device, which is the AverMedia Extreme Cap U3. It's an external capture device using USB 3.0, and I decided to use this because it does 1080p quality video and 60 frames per second streaming. So if you're actually watching this on Twitch right now, okay, you are watching a 60 frames per second stream of the Wii U desktop, per se, if you're watching it on source quality. You can only see the 60 frames per second if you watch on source quality, by the way. If you're watching on standard quality, the 60 frames per second doesn't work. Anything but source, any of the lower qualities, you won't see it. So just to explain to you guys how that works. I am
putting what I was telling you right then and there.
Streaming at about 5,000 kilobytes per second. So it varies, it fluctuates between, say, you know, the high 4,000s and the mid 5,000s as it streams. So some people's internet can handle it, some people's internet can't. And what we found over this past weekend was that some people had amazing, you know, oh, no problems, you know, as long as I don't use wireless and I have a direct Ethernet connection to my computer, I'm seeing an amazing 60 frames per second stream, I love it. Other people were basically like, well, it looks like shit to me. And the answer is because, you know, unfortunately, I hate to say it, but internet in this day and age is not up to par. And this is what I said last year when the Xbox One was announced that it was going to be an online-only, always online console. I said, you realize how stupid you are, that you obviously did absolutely no fucking market research to find out that there's a lot of people worldwide who do not have good internet. And these are your customer base who you're now isolating, making a console that's always online and that requires like amazingly godlike internet. It makes no sense. And, of course, eventually all those things were taken away out of the Xbox One. But the good news here is that even if you don't have great internet, you can still watch on a lower quality here on stream, and you should be alright. Now the bummer here, really when you think about it, is that YouTube doesn't support 60 frames per second yet. They made this big announcement a couple weeks back that they
he's
would.
Still crying and complaining about how Twitch wouldn't let him have higher quality on their platform, despite the fact that most of his viewership wouldn't even have the internet for it, and then bitching and complaining about how, oh, well, that's only going to make my quality look worse on YouTube, and YouTube isn't even where he needs it to be graphically yet. You see how stupid he is? It's literally just complaining just to complain. Literally a Karen. He's always been that. Whining about shit that he doesn't need. He just wants it just to want it. You know what I mean? He's a frivolous waste of a human, if you think about it, because he likes to refer to himself as a human. He really should be referred to as person. But anyway, he's a wasteful person for the sake of just being wasteful. He wants to just possess things just to possess it, and won't utilize it. But then he'll utilize all these people around him, but doesn't see any value in them. It's a really crazy type of meta mindset.
But they don't yet. And I know this for a fact because I recorded a set of Street Fighter 4 gameplay yesterday, and it does not show up in 60 frames per second on YouTube. And, you know, it is what it is. I can't help that, you know what I mean? It's just that YouTube they claim they're going to add something, but they don't put any fucking date on it, and who knows when it's actually going to go live. So, that's the deal right now. Right now I'm using a totally new setup, and I'm trying to learn it. I'm trying to learn the ins and outs of this setup, and, you know, there's going to be some hiccups along the way. So the first thing I want to warn everyone of is that I'm trying to get audio levels adjusted properly. And right now I have absolutely no idea if the audio level of the Wii U is correct. I have my volume maxed out, by the way. So if the volume level of the Wii...
test it before he starts streaming. He just would rather do it all on the fly. Oh, you guys are going to be my experiment, my guinea pigs, and I'll test it with you guys, and then you guys tell me if it's right or not. Now, don't get me wrong. This is coming from someone who has always had shitty audio quality. So, you know what I'm saying? I can relate. At the same time, though, Like, this is all he does. You know what I mean? Like, you're telling me that he couldn't take 10 or 15 minutes to go ahead and do some audio tests on his own and adjust levels before going on stream, and then being like, hey guys, I've been messing with the audio, I'm trying to figure out how things work with this and so on and so forth. I've already done some audio checks. I'm going to go ahead and run this by you, and you guys tell me what you think. Oh no, I'm not going to do all that. We're just going to go ahead and do this on the fly, and yeah, you guys just tell me what's going on, and then you guys tell me how to fix it. Which more often than not is what's going to happen. And if I remember correctly, Chris and Teo, oh no, I don't think Chris and Teo were even in the picture at this point. This was July of 2014. Never mind. Nah, he was already out of Connecticut at that point. But when he first started streaming, when he was in Connecticut, essentially, if he had any type of problems or trouble, he had to run that through Chris and Teo and John Rambo. To get shit fixed. And even with the smallest little hangups and a couple of quick Google searches, and he probably could have found it, he still wouldn't do it. And it's funny too, because I don't know if I think he was still lurking on SRK at the time. There was a whole section on SRK about streaming. He could have gone there and looked in that thread and seen what, and just kind of troubleshoot. You know what I mean? And he was too lazy to do that. Not just SRK. Could have gone to Capcom United, or he could have gone to Event Hubs, and still didn't do it. Like I said, he set himself back. The person who has set Darksydephil back the most will always be Darksydephil. It's always been that way. It always will be that way. And that's why he has so many excuses, because someone else has to take the blame but him, because it's not his fault that he's ignorant. But he'll never say that it's not my fault that I'm ignorant. It's not his fault that he's ignorant. It's just going to be, it's not my fault. What was I expected to do? Come on, man. And that's the reality of it. Now, why he has this coping mechanism or defense mechanism is really what it is. Now, where did he develop it? Where did it come from? I couldn't tell you. I would assume it's something that he spawned in his childhood, but who could say? But the fact that he's never let it go, and you've seen it, and you see so much of it, or it's been seen, I should say, so much of in the fighting game community, and in a lot of ways in the detractor FGC, which is what I call basically what I call detractors who play him in fighting games. And the usage of it there and how it's evolved is insane. Because some of Phil's excuses, actually most of his excuses, are bullshit. Out and out bullshit. Maybe 5%, maybe 10%. It may have some point. But then again, that's his internet, and so it still kind of falls on him to some degree. But a lot of that shit, like 90% of the Philism bullshit, it's not my fault blame game that he does on Street Fighter mainly, is just that. It's bullshit. It's smoke and mirrors. And at least during my run from end of 2007 up till now, like, listening to how all of his excuses has evolved is insane. It is fucking insane to listen to how his excuses have evolved and mutated and further deformed into what it is now. It's ridiculous. No rational person should think that way. No rational person should have such a hard time and should have such a small ego and have such little should have such a little insignificant bit of self-confidence or ego that they have to make up excuses for every little thing that happens to them, for every little mistake they made, and for every little shortcoming that they've ever experienced. That's not normal. That is far from being normal. And yet again, it explains why he's at where he's at. Wow.
You sounds really low on stream right now, which some people were saying. That means I'm just going to have to lower my microphone volume, and you guys are going to have to up your overall volume on the stream / video that you're watching, because I can't make the game volume any louder. Okay. So there you have it. That's one thing. Now the other thing, I'm trying to figure this out. I'm trying to figure out. Excuse me. I'm trying to figure out how to get videos to play here in OBS, and I did finally figure it out about half an hour before I started streaming. But the problem is, it seems that OBS, and here's the deal, because I want to get everyone caught up. OBS is called Open Broadcast Software. Now, previously to this, I used a program called XSplit, which was a program that was expensive, and you needed to purchase a subscription to use. Okay, it's a pay-for program. You pay for it, and then they constantly update it. Yada yada yada. OBS is not that like that. It's an open source free program, so anyone can write plugins for the thing. But that also means that there's absolutely nobody responsible to make sure that the thing works or that these plugins are reliable. You know what I mean? Because it's free.
It's community-based,
and so
idiot. So the community essentially does it. If you don't like it, then go back to XSplit and pay for it. Pure and simple. He likes the aspect of it being free, but he wants it to be free and yet still have all of the reliability of something that you pay for. Well, if you're so worried about it, then go back to the paid product. You can't have your, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, he wants to have his snorts and then swallow the snot too. And you can't have both without having repercussions. Like, just pure and simple. Just pure and simple. And to be honest with you, when it comes to the level of functionality, when it comes to any program that Phil Burnell uses, he's only going to use it to the bare bones anyway. So what the fuck are you worried about with plugins and stuff? For the most part. Like, that's outside of your realm anyway. So that's not even a big deal. Matter of fact, when he downloaded OBS initially, on his off time, he should have sat there and experimented with it for about an hour to go through and see how it works. And while he's doing that, he could have been on their forums reading through like the how-to or the starter page and going through just the basic functionality. He didn't do that. And I think back then especially, OBS didn't have the features that XSplit did. You know what I'm saying? Now XSplit, if any of you guys use XSplit, it's packed with all kinds of goodies now. And OBS has come a long way as well. You know what I mean? But it took time for both programs to get there. At the end of the day, it's free and you work with what you get. You know what I'm saying? You have no right to make any demands or any crazy demands for something that was given to you for free. Or it's something that's not given, but something that is put out there for free.
To be honest, a lot of people use OBS because it's free. Not because it's better than XSplit, not because of any kind of reason besides it's free. And the reason I'm using OBS is because this capture device that I'm using now to get the higher quality video does not work with XSplit. The guys at XSplit...
I bet you... I would guess, I would surmise, it probably does. But there's probably some type of workaround that he needs to do. Or there's probably something that he has to download and install. And he's not willing to do it. It would seem awkward that would be the case. You know what I mean? Because think about it. Think about what he just said. Oh, the only reason why people use OBS is because it's free. That's it. That's the only reason why they're doing it. Which is the only reason why really he's using it. But, excuse me, semantics. That's the only reason why people use it. It's because it's free. But then this capture device that I just purchased, outside of the other 2 or 3 that he purchased around the same time, because he's an idiot, because he wanted to know what the best capture software was, and a bunch of people told him multiple ones, so he bought all of them, like a goddamn idiot. Before purchasing the first one, testing it and see how he feels, he immediately orders 2 or 3 other ones to go along with it. Because that's what kind of a tard Darksydephil is. Anyway, he says that this one device that he's using will only work with OBS. How does that make sense when XSplit was a bit more prominent, right? It was a bit more prominent, and outside of, like I said, some plugins and some other stuff that might, or some workarounds at the very least, it would work. And it would probably work to the quality that he would want anyway, or to the quality that he would be able to achieve anyway. Because remember, this bitch ended up leaving because he couldn't run his streams at the highest quality possible because he was trying to get that YouTube money too. When all the other streamers who were doing it were just streaming. And if they were doing YouTube as well, compilations or whatever the case may be, then they didn't mind the drop in quality. It wasn't that big of a deal. Oh well.
Whatever reason, it's not compatible. It does kind of work sometimes, but not always. It seems to be completely random whether or not it feels like working.
He messed up, not the programming. Because either it's compatible or it's not compatible. If it works, it means that if it works sometimes, it means that there's something you're doing wrong. You don't have your settings right, or you're probably running another program that isn't compatible with the two, or is interfering in some way, shape, or form. That's what it comes down to. And yet again, he's just too lazy, too stupid to sit there and try to figure it out. He thinks that you should be able to pull something right out the box and plug it in, and bam, it should work. That's the reason why he's not a PC head. Well, not a PC head, but that's the reason why he doesn't like PC games, because he doesn't like the fact that he has to put work into it to make it work. And he's like that with everything. Jesus Christ, his relationships are like that. Or his relationship, I should say. He's only in a relationship with one person right now. But, you know what I'm saying? That's the reason why that marriage just comes across like a fucking sham. Because you don't put no effort into it. Oh, I brought you here. Now you cook food, and you wash clothes, and you clean house, and I play video games all day. Oh, and you work too. I forgot she has a job. And you go to work too. Insane, dude. Absolutely fucking insane.
And so it was funny because on Saturday, I actually tested my new capture device in XSplit, and it worked all day. And then yesterday I went to do it, and it wouldn't work at all. And I said, I can't have that. I can't have it that one day my equipment works and the next day it doesn't. Enough is enough. I just have to draw the line.
It worked one day, it didn't work the other, and then he abandons the program altogether to go and get OBS. Sounds like a classic quitter to me.
And I'm drawing the line at reliability. So I said, that's it for gameplay. What I'll probably do from now on is for gameplay itself.
That's ironic too, because I'm drawing the line at reliability. So when all those people gave you that money for Project 7 and you didn't come through, and then you got mad that other people didn't support projects afterwards, like how some people didn't exactly support all of his Patreon choice events, or some of his Patreon events, or his sub goals and all that bullshit, and he got mad and had his little Twitter rants and all that bullshit and had to ban a bunch of people, or had to discipline a bunch of people on his forums. Well, where does your reliability come into play with this situation? You've proven, or I should say Phil has proven, to be unreliable rather consistently. As consistent as he lies. And you know that he pretty much lies all the time. So you don't want to be judged on those things, but you'll judge this program on this one thing, on this one day. He didn't give it a couple of days to kind of fiddle with it and see what's up. Oh, you worked fine this day and I'm extremely happy with it. Oh, you didn't work this one day? Oh, I draw the line. I got to get rid of you. Okay. Interesting logic, but alright.
Use OBS for vlogging. So for example, for the weekend preview that I'm going to be doing later tonight, for Ask the King, which I'm going to be doing later this week, for the upcoming return of Smart Guys, right? For all those things, I think I'm still going to use... We all remember how unreliable
that was for Smart Guys, right? Because that never happened. Wow, Phil, that must have been some buggy friendship mechanics, right? Or, sorry, business / friendship mechanics? Let's be honest, John was just an accessory to him. It is what it is.
Split. It makes sense. It's easier to use. XSplit was really designed not to be a gameplay broadcaster, but to actually be a pseudo television studio. That's actually correct. XSplit was meant to be so that you can like create your own television program and go between different scenes and cut from camera 1 to camera 2. That's really what it was created for. And so that's really where it excels, is when you're doing vlogging style stuff and you want to have a nice scene set up with a border and different effects and stuff. It's really well done. But for other stuff like gaming, it really doesn't seem to do as well. And by the way, XSplit is a huge processor hog. Which what I mean by that is when you're streaming and recording in XSplit.
So we sat there and I love how he does this. I love how he does this. I wish more people would point it out. But even though some of my fellow detractors do so. I like how he'll bash something, like how he bashed OBS, saying that people only use it because it's free, and, you know, that's it, but it's unreliable, and so on and so forth. And then we go to shitting on XSplit and saying, oh, it was really only made for this, and it's not really good for that, and, you know, it has all these problems, and he'll literally bury the previous thing that he was using for the new thing that he has, after giving his complaints on why he's hesitant to use this new thing. I love how he does that, because it just goes to show, ladies and gentlemen, he's very much the example of you're keeping up with the Joneses, and mainly your Johnny come latelys, or what have you done for me lately. He's very much that type of person. He will shit. You could be with him for years. Brightside Vikings are a great example of that. Waifu Destroyer Matt's another example. These people have been watching him for years and been supporters for years. And whenever he had to save his own ass or save his own bacon, or if one of them he felt stepped out of line and needed to be disciplined, he publicly executed those guys and discarded them. All the years and all the good advice and all the money they may have sent to him meant not a goddamn thing after that one point. It's amazing. And yet, pieces of shit still got the nerve to go ahead and fucking try to fucking protect this guy. And then, or even try to defend him. You would defend him. Which is insane. Which only has to come out of ignorance, because you obviously don't know who or what he is to do so. It is what it is. Like, you would think at this point we would be at the day and age where people would know enough about Darksydephil to know he's a scumbag. And you can't necessarily defend being a scumbag. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's beyond a scumbag, but you know what I mean. And yet people are still compelled to do so. Like he's going to have some fucking redemption arc or some shit. And that's not going to happen. Just like that nonsense with Monday Matt. Like, you know what I'm saying? Great. He stopped drinking and he's going to a therapist or whatever bullshit that he's doing with his life. Good for him. But that doesn't wipe away what he's done. You can hide behind your addiction or whatever his problem was. He can hide behind his depression. He can hide behind all those things if you want to. But that doesn't take away what you did. And you knew what you did was wrong and you did it anyway. That's not your depression's fault. That's not the alcohol's fault. You did it because you wanted to. You did it because you felt like you had the right to do so. That wasn't the liquor talking. That wasn't depression. And the reason why I'm bringing up those two main things with Monday Matt is because those are the same two things that Darksydephil is hid behind. Wow.
It completely decimates your processor of your PC. It really does. It hogs up the processor really, really badly. Versus OBS does not. But OBS, like I said, it's open source, it's user generated, and it's very, very, very unpolished. Let me put it that way. That's the best way to describe OBS. It's functional, but it's unpolished. So perfect example here. When I started the stream today, I played the video of Shovel Knight. This was the commercial video that I had run on Friday when I played Shovel Knight, and it has the music and everything playing. Well, I adjusted it and I said, please loop this video and please play the music at 50% volume because the music was very loud. Well, after looping once, it completely disassociates your changes. So it looped once at 50% volume, then played again at 100% volume, and everyone on the stream's ears were blown away. They're like, what the fuck, man? Why did it get so loud? I'm like, I'm sorry, this is OBS. I don't know what else to say. OBS, unfortunately, seems to not save settings when it comes to the video plugin. So what I'm going to have to do from now on is when I'm playing a new game, I'm going to have to basically take the audio of the commercial and edit it to only like 50% in my video editor. So that way it's not overly loud and blows people's ears out. Okay. So, I don't know what else to do. You know, I'm going to have to learn. I'm going to have to learn how to use this program. Every day, I guarantee you, every day I'm going to learn a little bit more. Every day I'm going to make it a little bit better. And I mean, I'll be honest with everyone, it sucks because I'm basically starting from square one. You know, for a year, it's now what, July?
About how he doesn't like learning new things, and how he's almost, not disgruntled, I mean, disgruntled is a good example, but how he's discouraged by having to learn new things, which is weird, right? Because you're going to learn new things throughout life in general. Every day is a learning opportunity and a learning experience. And yet this idiot right here doesn't leave his house except for one day a week. He doesn't really talk to anybody who aren't drones anyway. So essentially he's in his own bubble. The only thing that the only real human contact he gets is from Twitter. And let's be honest, that's not exactly the best, the best incubator, if you will, when it comes to picking stuff up. But whatever. I mean, yet again, Twitter can be toxic at times. And I'm talking about like Twitter in general. Like Twitter could be fucking toxic as shit. Jesus Christ. So it is what it is.
I started streaming in March of last year. So March, April, May, June, July. Almost a year and a half. I've been direct capturing and live streaming in XSplit. And I'll be honest, it took me quite a while to find kind of like the perfect setup in XSplit in order to be able to do the stuff that I wanted to do. And even though it took a while,
it took you a year and a half to figure out how to use XSplit, and even then, what you were doing in XSplit was still like bottom of the barrel. Jesus Christ! You see how much time he puts into just being lazy? That's insane. He put in a year and a half to essentially be fucking lazy. Bottom of the barrel. Like day one settings almost. A year and a half is what brought him to that point. Wow.
Worked out, and I thought that I had like the perfected settings, right? But we had some issues. We had some artifacting, which is what I call pixelization, in the direct capturing and the streaming, which is why I decided to upgrade my PC in the first place. It just wasn't up to snuff. The amount of memory that my PC had, it was maxing out the CPU trying to do certain games, and I said this isn't going to cut the mustard when it comes to, especially to the PS4 and Xbox One stuff that I wanted to do.
And he could have upgraded his PC, but he didn't because he didn't know how. But then again, that's a bit of a contradiction. That's him contradicting himself, though, because he used to be a PC gamer and a PC builder. He used to be one of us, if you will. But then he ends up contradicting that later and saying that he is a console gamer. You know what I mean? He likes things simple. He's a simple person. Because I guess if you're a simple person, it means that you can't build anything, or you can't upgrade anything, or essentially you just can't do anything outside of use what's been given to you. That's his definition. That's what he said. So I'm just putting it out there.
Looking good, and so I decided that I would go ahead and get a new computer and upgrade stuff, and that's what I've done. But of course now, because I'm forced to use a new program, it's growing pains. I got to relearn everything again from scratch, and I do apologize for that, everyone. So what I'm basically telling you is for the next, probably month, if not longer, every day you might have something off. The audio may be off, the video may be off, this may be wonky, that may not be working properly, and I apologize for that because it is a time of transition. Is a time where I'm learning as much as you guys are enjoying watching the content. I'm learning how to do everything from scratch again. And so, someone just in the stream chat just said, oh, Phil, if you want to have that saved, you need to save it as a global source. I don't know what that means.
Yet again, this is something that he does for a living, ladies and gentlemen. This is his job. Okay? Like, you know, let's go ahead and put that out there right fucking now. This is his job. And he's as incompetent, right, as someone who's only doing it as a hobby. And this is how he makes his living. And you see his approach to it. And he talks all this bullshit about perfection and having everything at the ideal settings and so on and so forth. And like I said, when he was using XSplit, it was garbage then. And if any of you guys obviously keep up with the current lore, you know it's garbage now. There's so many things he could do in OBS that he just doesn't do because, well, he don't know or he don't care. And his experiences with XSplit was the exact same thing. And then he used XSplit too for as long as he did because one, it was the only way for him it was one of the only ways for him to stream. And two, the prestige of paying for something. That's the reason why he sat there and kept the Adobe Premiere, or no, he was paying for the whole Adobe package. Now I think about it. That's the reason why he held on to that shit for as long as he did. He paid for that for 2 straight years, that service. He paid for that service for 2 straight goddamn years, and he wasn't even editing or anything. He can say that, oh, I was using it for the crawl, for what was that? Not Axe the King, for the weekend preview. But he could have done that in OBS. So that right there that's not even up to snuff, to be honest. And then even after he stopped the weekend preview, he was still paying for that service.
What that means, this is what I mean. This is the stuff I'm going to have to learn. I'm literally learning from square one. And so I'm sorry about that, and I'm sorry that the streams are taking a little bit longer to get started, and we're having some delays. It's basically because of that. Like, I was sitting here with OBS saying, okay, I gotta learn how to do this, how do I get this plugin to work, and I'm trying to do it, and it takes me, some extra time. I tried to do it last night. This is what a lot of people don't realize. I've been trying to figure this stuff out last night or at night before I go to bed, and it's keeping me up, like, super late. Like, not last night, but the night before, I shit you not, I was up till 7:30 a.m. my time. I got 4 hours of sleep that night. Well, I guess you should say that morning, because I was awake all that night, basically transferring all the files that I would need to continue my work from my old PC to the new PC. I actually upgraded my laptop and my other desktop PC, which is an Asus. I upgraded them over to the new operating system, Windows 8.1. They had previously only been on Windows 8. I installed all of the software that I need.
Wait. You updated your desktop and your laptop to Windows 8, but you won't update it to Windows 10 in our current timeline because you didn't want to learn a new interface? Holy shit. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna have to bring that back. We're gonna have to bring that back. Yeah, I need that. I need to hear that a little further. Okay, let me do this, and we're gonna let that replay again. Holy shit. How far do I need to go? I don't need to go that far, actually. That's probably too far, but it is what it is.
A bit longer to get started, and we're having some delays. It's basically because of that. Like, I was sitting here with OBS saying, okay, I gotta learn how to do this, how do I get this plugin to work, and I'm trying to do it, and it takes me, some extra time. I tried to do it last night. This is what a lot of people don't realize. I've been trying to figure this stuff out last night before or at night before I go to bed, and it's keeping me up, like, super late. Like, not last night, but the night before, I shit you not, I was up till 7:30 a.m. my time. I got 4 hours of sleep that night. Well, I guess you should say that morning, because I was awake all that night, basically transferring all the files that I would need to continue my work from my old PC to the new PC. I actually upgraded my laptop and my other desktop PC, which is an Asus. I upgraded them over to the new operating system, Windows 8.1. They had previously only been on Windows 8. I installed all of the software that I need, like Dreamweaver, Photoshop, all the essentials to those two PCs so that they could also do the same stuff that I do on a daily basis. And it took me all night.
Okay.
And then people...
Okay. Okay. Okay, so what do we know? We know now that well, we always knew that his laptop was running Windows 8. And I think his new PC is at least at a Windows 8. His Acer, which is the one from from Connecticut, he updated that to Windows 8 or 8.1, sorry. But why are you using that when you already have, at this point, he should already have that CyberPower PC at this point. More importantly than that, so you stood up all night to go ahead and bring everything up to the current software standard that it needed to be at. But he refuses to do this for Windows 10. First lying and saying that, oh, it's not because it's not free anymore. Even though when it was free for the upgrade, people still asked him to do it and he wouldn't do it. I can't remember what lame ass excuse he gave for that. And now he's saying, oh, I can't do it because I don't want to relearn the interface for my business. Even though he says right here he moved over all the files and everything he needed to upgrade to the newest version of Windows so he could continue to keep the business going. So he understood that in 2014 he needed to do it, but in 2020 we're a lazy fuck and we don't have the time to do it. Okay.
Have the gall the next day when I start up to say, why didn't you start on time? You should have been running exactly when you said you were going to start, even though when you booted up your PC, your capture device decided to not work with XSplit for absolutely no reason. Screw you, Phil, for being late. And I'm like,
wait a second. So it has nothing to do with the program's fault. When he went ahead and changed all of his settings over and upgraded, there was obviously some stuff that he missed that he should have done, and he didn't do it, and that's the reason why the program isn't working properly. But he's such an idiot that he don't know that. And funny enough, ladies and gentlemen, what does Phil say to us in 2020 about how he's so consistent and that's why people rely on him and depend on him? And here, he bitching and complaining over what is essentially his job. Your job is to show up and play these games. And if people expect you to be on time, unless you're giving them forewarning on Twitter or whatever the case may be, they expect what they expect. Yet again, unless you're giving a forewarning or something. Let me give you an example. Nick Rekieta Law. He used to have a super fucking consistent schedule when it came to when he streams. When he streams. Now it's kind of all over the place. And the fact that, he's streaming on YouTube, he's streaming on Twitch, he has his family, he has a lot going on, and then he has other shit he does too. So now he may tell you, okay, there's a show scheduled for tomorrow, and then in like 6 hours you'll get a message from his community tab saying, hey guys, show's gonna either get delayed, or there won't be a show tonight, there'll be a show tomorrow night instead, so on and so forth. He keeps people pretty up to date when it comes to the stuff that he's doing, for the most part. Phil don't. And it's crazy about that because Phil had weekend preview. He was updating his shit on Twitter. He was updating shit on his fucking King of Hate forums. If you were up that late, that late, basically leading to being that early, why the hell didn't you just make a post or something somewhere to let people know? Instead of you whining like this. All right.
I'm trying to put in the time. I'm trying to put in the time to get stuff working, to make stuff happen, right? But I'm sorry that it's not working out perfectly. That's not life. And that's what people seem to realize. Life is not perfect. In life, things don't always work the way you want them to. And you have to either adapt or perish, as they say. So either I adapt and I realize, okay, so streams are not going to start exactly every time that I want them to, but I'm going to keep working at it. I'm going to put in time and effort, and I'm going to try to make stuff work, nicely over time. Or I could just give up and flip out and say fuck everything. But that's not the attitude I'm going to have, right?
That's the attitude he has now. I mean, theoretically, that's the attitude he had back then too. That's the reason why he quit XSplit to go to OBS in the first place.
So, That's the deal, everyone. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna be playing Shovel Knight today on the first stream, and I mean, at least in my estimation, I did really good playing this game the other day. I didn't have many difficulties, and I mean, I did get challenged. It's challenging. I'm not gonna lie. It is an old school 2D platformer similar to Mega Man. That's the best comparison I can give it. But I'm enjoying it a ton. I'm really enjoying the retro vibe, and I really like the game a lot. But unfortunately, I hate to say this, really no one's watching it on YouTube. It seems that, unfortunately, and even the stream too. The stream the other day.
That's another problem too that I've always had with his silly shit, is that he thinks that as long as he's getting the most excitement and fun out of a game, then the audience by proxy should have that same enthusiasm to keep watching it. And that's not how that works. Because if you're playing a game and you're being entertained by it, but the audience that's watching you or watching the stream or watching the video or whatever is not entertained by it, then they're not going to watch it. And he don't understand that. It's like a major disconnect that he don't get. I'm myself being, if I was fucking Dark Geppetto here, if I'm having a good time and I'm enjoying the game and I'm doing well at the game, that should translate to you guys liking it. But that's not entertaining. If it's not entertaining, I should say, then no, that's not how that's going to work. And he's never understood that. And that's the reason, ladies and gentlemen, that I've always posed this theory, that he needs people to be invested in him. Because then if you're invested in him, then it doesn't matter what he does. You should, theoretically, snortnosis, if you will, or pignosis, you'll like everything that he's doing as well. That's what he's dependent on. You know what I mean? Which is a cult mentality, or it's an aspect of it anyway. But that's what he's dependent on. Nothing else. Anything outside of that, you need to get the fuck up out, or you need to go ahead and reevaluate why you're actually here. And these are things that he's actually said. Boy, it's some wild shit if you really think about it.
Didn't do too well. We were in the 400s when it came to viewership. And it seems that one of two things, and I don't know which is the case, either number one, everyone already watched this game when it came out a week or two ago when I was, busy moving and I couldn't play it when it was brand new. Or number two, no one cares about retro gaming anymore. And I hate to say that because a couple of years ago I did a thing.
Both of those are lame excuses. One, there will always be a market for retro. Sorry. That's a lame-ass excuse, because for one, there'll always be a market for retro games, and there'll always be a market for people to watch it, whether streamed or in video format. There'll always be someone who will want to watch it. Period. End of story. Two, another lame-ass excuse is that, people already saw other people play it, so they don't want to watch it. Let me tell you exactly how silly that shit is. When Last of Us 2 came out, I watched Chris Smoove play that game religiously. Like, I used to, rewatch episodes while waiting for the new shit to come out. I watched Chase Money play it. I saw Rad Brad play it. I saw a bunch of different content creators play it. And I will also say, though, too, I watched Maximilian play it. But I'll just go ahead and say 4 people. I watched way more people than that, but I saw 4 people play that game, and each one of them played it differently. But more importantly than that, I was entertained watching all 4 of those people play that game. There's always going to be people who do that. There are always going to be people who do that. Period. Same thing with Resident Evil. I watched when Maximilian and the guy who plays Doom, his friend, when on his Let's Go video games, Maximilian's second channel for playthroughs and shit, I watched them play I think they had a Resident Evil marathon or some shit, and they went through all the old Resident Evil games. I watched all of that, and I had already played through those Resident Evil games, as well as watched other people played it before Max and his friend Doom did that shit, and I still watched them do it, and I learned a lot too, a lot of shit that I just didn't know I learned. So there you go. So those 2 cop-out reasons aren't going to work. And those are always the 2 things that Phil likes to run to. Oh, the game came out early and no one was interested in watching it. Or people are playing it themselves and so they don't want to get spoiled. Or just hard fucking reasons. and pathetic excuses for why he can't hold people's attention anymore, unless it's in a negative manner. More pathetic excuses on why he can't get people to come out and support the playthroughs. And he's always been like that. Even back in his heyday when his shit was virally popular. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, the first 5 videos in the playthrough and maybe the last 4 at the end of the playthrough. All that shit in the middle, nothing burger. Nothing burger. And he used to bitch about that shit too. He bitched about it then. Now he don't bother with it because he can't win. You know what I mean? And we're talking about someone who used to get 10,000 views on average for a playthrough. Actually more than that, but we'll just use 10,000 as the average. For his playthroughs, he can barely pull that now. He can barely pull that now. Even for the beginning of a playthrough, he barely touches the 10,000 mark. So, and on average, he's maybe getting 1,000 views? Maybe? He's falling the fuck off. And yet, he still clamors at the idea of going back to doing 10-minute or 30-minute long videos so he can get in more ad revenue, and watch how quickly the fucking views on that shit sinks. He's barely pulling 1,000 now. If he ends up going back to the 10 or 20-minute format, how many views do you think he'll get then?
Then I did a Mega Man X marathon, and I enjoy doing those, but it seems that that kind of is dead now. Like, this retro gaming, no one really gives a shit. And I hate that, because as you guys know, I love retro games. Last year I did a Summer of Retro marathon, where I played some of my favorite games of all time, including Earthbound, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, Chrono Trigger, and I love doing it, but so many people complained, why is he playing this? I don't want to see this, I want new games. And I don't know, I don't get it. I don't understand.
And yet again, that's his fault too, because he conditioned people. He conditioned people to come out there and see him for the new games. He was the one-stop shop for it. Instead of his dumbass maybe having 2 channels, if you will. One for the new stuff and then one for the old stuff. You know what I mean? And then people can just jump back and forth. Yet again, going back to what I've said in a previous video about the whole situation with DSP Street Fighter and DSP Gaming. Oh, you're not going to pay me... you're not going to pay me the amount of money for DSP Street Fighter that you're going to pay me for DSP Gaming? All right, fair enough. I'm just going to go ahead and swamp DSP Gaming then with all my match footage. Kill the channel. It helped lead to the demise of his channel, if you will. Because he was sitting there oversaturating it. Instead of keeping the fighting game channel available. Keep taking what little money they were going to offer you until it proves to actually be worth a damn. Which he wasn't even smart enough to figure that out. And then let all the endorsements, let everything else come through there. Because if that's his one-stop shop for fighting games, right? And especially back then, where fighting game companies would be quick to sponsor people, get people to endorse their games or whatnot, he has a designated channel for that. Separate from DSP Gaming. You know what I mean? This is where people can go strictly for the fighting game bullshit and not worry about all the other crap that he's playing terribly. And more importantly, worry about all the haters and all that bullshit. All he has is DSP Street Fighter. You know what I mean? And that right there could have been, at least I see it, it could have been a potential gold mine. And fucked it all up because he wanted to go for short-term gains. Because he can't see nothing in the long term. And that's why he's so, air quotes, dependent on fucking crowdfunding now. Because he's a goddamn failure and he can't see past his own hoof. And he has squandered every opportunity he ever got. Because he's a goddamn idiot. And all he wanted was short, quick money. And thought it would keep coming. Even though he had nothing set up for any long-term, for the actual long-term effects. Or for just in the long term. Just to take that walk down in the long term. He never prepared for any of it. So DSP Street Fighter just went ahead and fell into the void. That shit could have been so much more than what it was. You know what I mean? There are plenty of channels out here now that only do FGC shit. Now, don't get me wrong, they have second and third channels where they do their playthroughs and all that, but they have stuff where they're only dedicated to FGC stuff. And look at how they did. Now, you could say for sure that Maximilian falls into that category. He's like, oh, well, look at Max. He does fighting game footage. He does Call of Duty. Well, he used to. His Call of Duty, his Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, his Modern Warfare stuff. They're all great stuff if you ever get a chance to look. But anyway, he was able to transition. He does fighting game stuff, but he does other stuff too. Max is versatile. You know what I'm saying? Max is versatile. And the thing is Max never swamped his channel. So with Max, it wasn't like, oh, you're coming here to see fighting game stuff, or you're coming here to see this, or you're coming to see that. Oh, I'm known for my fighting game stuff, but I play this other stuff too, and I'm knowledgeable about this. So every day you came to him, it was something new. He didn't try to be an expert at every little thing. You know what I'm saying? That he gave people what I like to call true variety. Phil didn't do that. He wanted to give you the image of variety. And he couldn't live up to it, like most of the things that he's done in life. End of story.
For the classics, the games that created what we have today. That would be like saying, quite honestly, that would be like saying, I don't understand why anyone watches Citizen Kane. I just went to see Transformers: Age of Extinction, and that movie's amazing. It's way better than Citizen Kane. Why would anyone ever watch an old movie? To which I slap my forehead and I say, oh no. But anyway, I very much am liking Shovel Knight. And so therefore, even though no one's really watching it, I am going to continue to play it and hopefully beat it today. As long as it is as long as it seems to be, which is there's like 1 or 2 more normal bosses left, probably a side stage here or there, and then the final castle, which, by the way, I'm sure is very challenging, because if it is emulating the Mega Man games, it probably means the final castle will have multiple stages, multiple bosses, and it'll be interesting to try to figure out how to get by it. Okay. I love reading stream chat sometimes, right? Because you get to, like, I'm here talking, or whatever, and on the stream chat, no one cares about you, Phil. No one cares. It's some troll. It's like, so let me get this straight. No one cares about me, yet you're on my stream trolling. Like, what the fuck? So obviously you care, or you wouldn't be here. It's just silly. Don't worry, I'm not discouraged. I'm not going to go on a rant. I just think it's fucking stupid.
Now here's the thing. These people showed up to a gameplay stream. Not to hear some dude fucking bitch and complain about mundane shit and why his own shortcomings are going to affect his business moving forward. Like, just get on with the gameplay, man. You can he could have done this while playing, while failing at whatever games. What did he tell us? Oh, I'm moving away from XSplit to OBS because OBS is free. OBS isn't as good as XSplit, but XSplit wasn't very good in the first place, so it's OBS from here on out. Also, all my shit is fucked up, and the gameplay on the streams as well as the gameplay on YouTube is going to be bad for a while. You're going to have to just deal with that. And then I don't understand why you guys aren't supporting Shovel Knight more. I love the game. I think the game is great, but you guys don't seem to like retro games, and it's a shame that you guys don't like retro games, because that means you're hurting me, because that's what I'm currently playing right now. No one needs to hear that. Just get on with the game, man. And now he's complaining about a troll. If it's even a troll, it's more likely someone who's subbed to the channel or who's there to see a fucking gameplay stream. Not you bitching and complaining on these fucking pre-streams and shit. Which are nothing more than just glorified fucking therapy sessions anyway.
If you don't like someone, why are you bothering even watching their content or even trolling? Just go move on and do something else. No one cares. Well, obviously people care because you're here, dumbass. I don't get it. I just don't get it.
He's there for the gameplay. He's not there to hear you bitch and complain. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like when you whatever. Whatever. But then again, the emphasis though. The emphasis on people do care about me and whatnot, and you have no right to say that. Because that's essentially what he's trying to weed out. people do care about me. People are worried about me, and that's why I do my pre-streams, and that's why they run a little long at times, because people want to hear about what's going on with me. He has said that multiple times over the years.
So we're going to be playing this for about probably 3.5 to 4 hours today on stream. Then I'm going to take a break, okay? Then we're going to come back later tonight, and I'm going to do the weekend preview. So that will be tonight, and I apologize, everyone, that I didn't get to do the weekend preview yesterday because I was very, very tired. After doing my first stream, which was a marathon of Ultra Street Fighter 4, which, by the way, would be uploading all week, and I apologize because I'm just now realizing I didn't actually have a chance to add those new videos to the playlist earlier today. They went live a couple hours ago, and I just didn't have a chance to add them to the playlist before I started streaming today. I forgot. I'll have to do that after today's stream, so I apologize for that. Yeah, those will be uploading all week. But after I did that stream yesterday, I went out to dinner, and then I also had some shopping to do. And by the time I got back, I was so freaking beat. And so that's going to be later tonight. There'll be the weekend preview, where I'll explain all the stuff I'm doing this week. Which, by the way,
to sit in front of your camera and talk for 20 minutes, and this is your business, and you're so consistent and reliable that people depend on you doing what you do at the level that you do it. Well, if that's not a contradiction, I don't know what is.
Some fun stuff. There's a new game coming out tomorrow on PC, which I hadn't even heard about until yesterday, and I looked into it, and it looks pretty good. I don't know if anyone's going to care about it, but there's really nothing going on this week. It's a pretty dead week with no new releases, really, retail-wise. So I figured this would be a perfect opportunity to be testing out stuff, and it is a PC game on Steam. So I said, hey, I'll try to record it, stream it, capture it in OBS, and we'll see what the quality is like, okay? And we got some more stuff later this week. We got Ask the King, and the continuation of a few different things, such as the return of UFC, which will also be tonight, by the way. After the weekend preview, there'll be a short stream of the return of UFC, but don't worry, I'll probably be playing that more later this week. It's just that I wanted to try to squeeze it in. I wanted to do it a couple days ago, but didn't have a chance because my PC showed up, and, you know, just different things are kind of interjecting themselves in that are holding me off from going back to a steady schedule of streaming, but I'm hoping that this week I can turn that around, okay? Alright, so everybody, we're going to play Shovel Knight. I hope you'll join me for that. I hope you'll join me for the weekend preview later tonight, and I hope you'll join me for UFC after that, even though it will be a shorter stream. It'll be a good test of the PS4 and the PS4 streaming in OBS, I think, okay? The one thing that I do want to say is, again, please be very patient with the stream today. I'm going to be adjusting things on the fly. I'm going to rely on your input. So right now, when we go to play Shovel Knight, if I boot the game and you guys can't hear it, you got to let me know that the game's too low. And what I'll do is I'll lower my mic volume, and then you guys just up your volume on the stream, and you'll be able to hear it, because I cannot up the game volume anymore. This is going to be the ongoing problem. It was always the ongoing problem in XSplit, is that every single console, every single game is a completely different volume level. I don't know why these games can't have a consistent base volume to base it off of. They don't. They all are all over the board. So we're going to have to definitely try to fix that. Also, I hope that the stream looks good to you guys. We'll have to see. It looks like I am dropping a few frames here and there today, but nothing major. So, so far I've been talking for about 20-something minutes, and I've dropped about 496 frames of animation. It says that's 0.4%, so that's not even 1%. It's negligible. You probably won't really notice it on the stream today. So we should be good. Okay, everyone? Alright, so I'm going to end the pre-stream. We're going to jump into
this up at being 60 frames at source quality. Now you're saying you're dropping frames. Oh, it's negligible. You'll never, you won't even feel it, or you won't even notice it, I should say. Sorry about that. And yet again, dude, like, it's just unnecessary shit for unnecessary shit. Like, everything, he knows that everything kind of goes to shit for him anyway, right? So why bother even hyping it up? Hey, if you're running this at source, it should be at 60 frames. For everybody else, they'll be at lower quality, depending on how your internet is. and we'll work from there. But he overhypes, or he tries to oversell everything. And then when that shit splatters in his face, and no pun intended, he decides to sit there and just gives that sad ass excuse. I was like, well, you know, it should be at 60 frames, but it says that I'm dropping frames. It'll be 1%. Shouldn't be that big of a deal, but you know, it is what it is, guys. Rip. Snort. Terrible salesman. Terrible salesman.
Shovel night. I'm going to ask you guys about the volume. We'll adjust that on the fly, and then we'll get started. Okay, everybody? All right, sounds good. Fair enough. All right, let's get started then.
Holy shit, that's just like now. This is what you keep in mind. This is like 2014. You see stuff like this now. Well, he is the king of consistency, right? Or is that negligible as well? Oh, that shit was sweet. That shit was sweet. Oh shit. Big ups to LD yet again for coming through. Oh man, that shit was fucking dope. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, the link to the original video without my annoying voice will be down in the description. Oh my god. That shit, the way the views and the likes and dislikes are back in 2014 is the exact same way that shit is now. Almost. Oh, that's so terrible. That's so terrible. But I thought the detractors in 2015 fucked everything up. I don't understand. I'm so confused. All right, ladies and gentlemen, give me a second to go ahead and square the rest of this up, and we'll reconvene for final thoughts, and I will let you guys go with your day. That's so funny. Rip. Ladies and gentlemen, yet again, big ups to LD. I very much appreciate that. Holy shit, big ups to all detractors. You know what I'm saying? You know, the OGs as well as the proverbial new class, if you will, and everybody in between. That right there was actually a good take. Found some nonsense. The thing about Windows 8 was kind of interesting. It's contradicted a little bit of some of the stuff that he said before, but you could also see why he would be so discouraged to move from Windows 8 to Windows 10, given what he allegedly went through to update everything from Windows 8 to 8.1. There's a lot of trends that goes on, ladies and gentlemen. He's a creature of habit, and it's a lot of his past experiences will shape his future ones, which is something that happens to all of us. But most people don't let a bad experience deter them from something else later on down the line. Phil is very much the opposite, which kind of sells, to be honest with you, it kind of sells you on why his life is the way it is, and how miserable he is, and how miserable he makes the people around him. You know what I mean? Because it's all for his own creature comforts, and in actuality, he's only screwed himself over in so many ways. That just it's terrible. It's absolutely horrible. And you would think for someone who boasts about how intelligent they are, right? And how much experience they have, and how upset he is that people don't come to him to ask him questions or ask him for his take or for his insight on things. He doesn't have really much to offer, because look at how he's carried himself. And then you crying and complaining about this mundane bullshit is silly. And then you really kind of getting a little bit flustered about how when someone said people don't give a shit about you, Phil, get to the goddamn game. That right there is a trigger that he has even to this day. It still exists. It really does. And then to top all of that off, excuse me, to top all of this off on this Begberry latte, if you will, is the fact that you look at the viewer count for whatever video that was, and then you look at the likes and dislikes, and that shit is no different than what you see today at almost any given time on a video. That's insane. Excuse me, that is insane. But it goes back to what I've told you guys before. History repeats itself. History more often than not repeats itself. And he's subject to that just like anybody else. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Oh shit! I love this. I love this menu board. This menu board for Tim Snortons. It's always been great. Snortons, sorry. It's always been great. I love that shit. Amazing. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys for the next one of these, whenever that may be. Hopefully sooner than later. And I can't wait to actually, well, when I finally get back, it'll be cool to actually get back to cutting this guy up in real time. And who knows what I've missed, but I'm sure it's going to be interesting in either which way. Ladies and gentlemen, this is DSP News 2nd edition, and this is the Gout Report. I've been your host, and yet again brought to you by Tim Snortons, because it's why not, right? And I'll catch you guys for the next one, man. Take care of yourselves. Later, people. Oh, so good. So good.